What's up, Beer League hockey fans and fellow dumpers? Welcome to another unedited, unfiltered Dump and Skate podcast, the #1 hockey podcast in the Bluffton, Hilton Head, Pooler, and Statesboro, Georgia area. Where if you're still bitching about my mic, then you're not a loyal listener and probably score less goals than I do, and you probably weigh more than me. I'm the podcast scheduler, the official editor, the broken, old, and decrepit bender, the ball buster, Jeremy. Corey calls me an idiot because my future wife in Atlanta has a mustache abdo. With me, as always, the man that makes this podcast possible, the only producer that doesn't do any editing because Abdu is earning our free paycheck. The, as our last guest worded it, the talent of the podcast. The guy I have to shut up. The guy I have to occasionally nag to upload this podcast for you, the fans. The very hardworking, unless he's on jury duty, family man, Jeremy. Oh my God, Jeremy, did you just burp? No, Abdu farted. That's how bad my breath is, Holland.
I don't think I accused you of farting.
No, but we were driving. No, you burped and it was blowing back to her. And then Sarah goes, "Oh my God, did you burp?" And you're like, "Oh no, Abdu farted." And I go, "Yeah, it was me, Sarah. I'm sorry. I'll take the heat. It sat with me for a little bit, and I go, "I don't like lying. I go, Sarah, I didn't do that." She's like, "Oh, I know he burped." You there?
Hey, I am, but I'm gonna have to pause for a second. Everybody's got to hold on for 2 seconds. There's chaos ensuing at my house.
Do we just want to run pause?
Okay, we're back. I got it. We're back. All right. So I'm very, very sorry about the massive interruption here. We don't edit, so none of this is going to get edited out. I'm sitting in my front room recording, and as we're talking, my wife ran by flashed through my face and said, "Oh my gosh, I can't do this. The dogs, I can't do this by myself." And so I thought, okay, something's happened with the dogs. It's okay. I said, my wife is now checking in on me because she hears me talking about her. And so I got up and went in the backyard thinking something was going on in the backyard because that's where they were, and no one was anywhere to be found. So I went out the front door, and here comes my wife with 2 of the dogs, and she looks at me and she says, "Goose is gone. We can't find him." Goose is my oldest dog that we have. He's about to be 4. He is 4. But he's also my dog. He's my most loyal dog. And so I stepped out and hollered at him.
He's so loyal. He wants to run away from you.
He was running off. So he had run the opposite direction, and I called him, and he came right to me. So we got him back in without a lot of problems. But somehow, I think one of my kids went out the front door and probably left the door standing open just enough.
Don't have kids.
And all 3 doors went out. Yeah, there you go. So, all right. So
Let's
we're back.
Go back
Sorry
to my
about that,
intro. Let's go back to my intro.
I got your intro. Yeah. So you burped in.
No,
I burped,
you
not
burped.
You.
Let me do this,
burped in
Holland.
the car. I got it.
People say that I'm the unprofessional one. This is like
this takes.
I am not getting like anyone says, "Oh, Abdu's so unprofessional." I'll just go listen. to this podcast.
I win on this one. Yeah, I win on this one. Oh man, this is the most chaotic one ever.
You burped.
I burped
way home from Atlanta.
And I forget we had eaten at where had we eaten? That was part of the issue. It was a
you
Euro
were eating
shop, right?
You were eating
it was the
Euros
Euro
and
place.
the beef jerky sticks.
Yeah, and so on the way home, I burped. It drifted right back behind me to my wife, and she said, "Oh my gosh, did you burp?" And I said, "Yeah." The first time, she was like, "It's so gross. Please stop." So like 15 minutes later, I burped again, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, did you burp again?" And I said, "No, it was Abdu." And she goes, "Oh, Abdu."
You said Abdu farted.
Did I say you farted?
I typed it in as soon as you did that. I saved this one for like a whole month and a week. So I typed it as soon as it happened. Yeah, and then I go, funny. "Sarah, I didn't fart. I really didn't." She's like, "Oh, I know."
You just sat there and go, "I can't lie. I can't lie." I said, "She knows what really happened."
Wow, what a first 4 minutes.
Well, this is a really good intro.
I was so happy with that. You know, it was Statesboro, Georgia.
Gosh. We have a really special guest that we're going to get to here in just a second. Before we do that, we want to remind you guys to like and subscribe and follow on all the different platforms. We are on TikTok now. We're on Instagram, Facebook, all the different social medias. We're there. Follow us on YouTube or subscribe on YouTube. Follow, like, thumbs up, all of that stuff on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all of the places you get your podcasts and videos and things like that. So, and then really quickly, go support our guys at BNR Sports. That's brsport.com. anything you need hockey equipment wise, anything you need jersey wise, anything, any equipment, any of that stuff, give them a shout. Let them hook you up, let them help you out. Tell them we sent you, yeah, they'll do a good job. Trying to help one of the local guys here about some skate riveting stuff, and we couldn't get the timing worked out. We were able to get some other stuff worked out for them, but yeah, those guys can do all sorts of things for you. So reach out to them if you got any questions. You know how to get in touch with me and Abdu. You can reach out to us as well. So, but like I said, we've got a very, very special guest. We love all of our local hockey programs. We love all the college programs that we've been able to meet and get involved with. We've had the Kennesaw State guys on. We've had various guys on. We had the Alabama, your nephew with Alabama on. And today we've got another really, really special guest tied into college hockey, but she's got a pretty big background beyond that. We're going to get a chance to talk about a little bit of that with her. So Abdu, go ahead, my man. Take it away.
Our next guest is the coach for the Georgia Southern University women's hockey team. She is a level 5 coach from the New York area. With over 20 years of coaching experience, she has coached numerous Tier 1 and Tier 2 girls hockey teams. She was an active player for 20-plus seasons with the first women's hockey team on Long Island, the Long Island Hurricanes. She also served as a head coach for the Junior Ranger girls and Junior Islander programs. She led local, middle, and high school hockey teams and worked as a successful skating program director in the New York area. She has coached and advised players recruited to D1, D3, the BCHL, ECHL, CHH, USPHL, the ACHA, CHS programs. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Coach Lilah Dima. I hope I got all that right.
That was a lot of reading. That has to be the most disciplined read I've ever heard you do.
I'm not going to lie. Usually when I just type it up and I don't read it, but this one I rehearsed a couple of times.
Studied it for 6 weeks.
Well, just in case your dogs ran away, I didn't want to have to repeat it.
All the chaos.
I didn't want to have to repeat it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was wild.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast,
Thank
Lilah.
you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely. I had a kid that we met in Jacksonville a few weeks. No, gosh, it was back at the beginning of the summer, wasn't it, Abdu? And he, I think, plays with the team that plays in the USPHL, I think. And he jokingly said, "It's the You Still Play Hockey League," and I laughed. I was like, "That's hilarious." So I know that's not what it is. But
that's
yeah,
very
so that's
funny.
Yeah. So Lilah, we were talking just a little bit as we got ready for this. You got as Abdu just stated, a huge background in hockey, but it started back up north. So give us a little bit of your background, kind of how you got rolling in hockey. And then I think you got some family that have done some things as well in hockey. So give us some of that info here for our listeners to hear.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for giving me the chance to even share about this. So hockey-wise, it's got to be it's probably more like 25 years. But before that, I was a skating instructor and grew up as a figure skater. I'm not going to lie. I always was curious about hockey. It wasn't an opportunity for girls and women at that point in time. But later on, when it became possible, I was very curious and wanted to be, aligned with it. I guess it was my son Jake, when he first began to skate and, was curious about playing hockey. I'm like, all right, I've got to switch over into these skates and get him that background. And it was kind of like the beginning of the end. Like my husband jokes, well, you ruined the family with all this hockey and all this time that you spent. It's just a blur. Like 15 years gone by where we were just, either on our way to hockey or on our way home from hockey or talking about hockey. And, it just, I'm addicted. What am I going to tell you?
Happens to the best of us. You got a daughter too that played, correct?
Yes. Our daughter played for. I don't want to say she's the best player of the group. She's probably the most accomplished player, having played D1. She played D1 with LIU. They made an inaugural team in Long Island. And she was part of that, which ended up, we never thought she'd be home for school, near home going to school. But it was like, how do you not take advantage of being a part of this? when it's right here in our backyard. So she was kind of the hometown hero on that team. It was really incredible. And it had the stands filled with our peers watching her play. And she actually scored her first NCAA goal on Wisconsin, which was also surreal, which, they're the best of the best. And those were really special moments. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So you've had a pretty exciting hockey journey to go from figure skating over to hockey with your kids and then to work your way up through coaching. So how did you get into coaching? Was it tied to working with your kids, or was it tied to you'd been doing that sort of thing at figure skating and it just transitioned into hockey?
It really started with Jake. One season there wasn't a coach, for his mini mite team, and I'm like, well, I'll get certified and do it. I think I can do it. I'd like to be on the ice with them and support it. I would always have them on the ice with me whenever I was coaching lessons. They were out there skating. So, I mean, we lived at the rink anyway, and it was a lot of fun. That became an addiction too. And then, I obviously wanted to coach Grace as well. She played with some boys teams in the beginning, and then segued over to girls. I coached those girls teams as well. And then all the while, I've loved just developing any player at any level. And I really, really loved running adult clinics. We had a rink that was 7 miles from our house. We lived in Seacliff, and this rink in Port Washington Family Skating Academy, was just like a mom and pop kind of rink, just no place like it. It was, people would say it was a dump, but it wasn't. It was our dump. It was not full size ice, but the amount of skating and players that came out of that rink and ended up going places it's unbelievable. And I had the keys. I could open up any morning I wanted. I would run adult clinics before school. I'd be coaching kids before school even, and then get everybody home from school, and we'd go right back over to the rink. I just feel really lucky those years that it was so close by and accessible, and it was like it was our home away from home.
Yeah, that's a life that's lived at the rink. That's awesome.
100%.
Are your kids? I'm sorry, Holland.
No, you're
good.
Are your
kids still involved in hockey? Like, are they paying it forward as well? Or are they now
It's
that they're
funny. I was just talking to Grace about this. She's in Manhattan right now, and there's a really great. I guess it's high level beer league, women's beer league, but it's good players from from D1, D3, and some of them that had played in the NWHL, which is now the PWHL, and they keep reaching out to her. And she's so busy with work right now, but she's like, I'm going to get over there. I know I don't want to sign on for the season, but I know I want a platoon. Like I'll do pick up when someone doesn't show or something. But she will once in a while on the women's team I play for, if we have a tournament away and we're short, or I can talk her into it, she'll come and play with us. And we love that. I would say a highlight was we did Empire State Games together in I think it was 2019, where she was the youngest player on the team. I was the oldest player on the team. And we had so much fun in Lake Placid. I got to tell you, and I knew it as we were playing. I'm like, this is just a once in a lifetime thing that we're playing at. Empires is also, it's a nice level for women, especially, to be able to, and I had other teammates from my women's team that went, and we shared it together, and it was a fond memory I have.
Nice.
So you've
had my son, Jake. He played for it really is CHS, which used to be SEC, and he played in the Civic Center. So believe it or not, he ended up, after playing to a high level, going to University of Florida. Not sure if he was going to play any more hockey. And he called us home, I guess, 2 weeks after getting there and said, okay, ship all my stuff. I'm going to go to this team. He ended up loving it. He became the president of that team. And if I had to choose a highlight, watching him play in the Civic Center, where people were like scalping tickets outside. I couldn't believe it. Like every seat filled practically. And I mean, he did hit us up, and we didn't realize what he needed this money for. But he asked us. It was his birthday weekend because his birthday's in January, and whenever he'd play, and the Savannah Classic, we would it would be his birthday week, and he's like, you guys said you were going to give me some money for my birthday, and can I have it now? And I'm like, well, what's going on? And he's like, I really can't talk about it. I'm in a rush, but it would really help me out. And so whatever, we give him this money, and sure enough, we paid for the gator that they brought. He got the live gator to come. And
That's
I'm
awesome.
like, I'm looking at my husband, and I'm like, this is where our money went. I hope you know that. So,
Money
but
well spent, I guess.
yeah, no kidding. That was the boys love that. The team was going crazy over that when
That's
when
funny.
he did that. That was another really great memory.
So your son's background in hockey has a crossing paths with mine a little bit. He's considerably younger than me, so we didn't technically cross paths. But I played in the College Hockey South. I played at the University of Georgia
Oh
for a couple of
wow!
years, and so
Well, you
we
probably
knew the
were beating them.
we knew the well that at the time I played back in '02 and '03, and so at the time I was playing, it was still relative. Our biggest competition was Georgia Tech at the time. Georgia Tech's program, I think, is not quite as strong as it was. What was that 20 years ago, 22 years ago?
Right.
But Florida program. So I grew up playing roller hockey, and so we always played programs out of Florida because had a big roller presence, and so we knew the guys that played at UCF, at Central Florida, South Florida, Florida State. I'm trying to think else. We never met any of the guys from Miami, but we played a lot of the guys from those Central and Western Florida teams a good bit. And so we had a decent rivalry with the University of Florida program. Some guys, we would always go down and do it's not really a stadium series, but the weekend of the Georgia Florida game, we would always play Florida the Friday before the Georgia Florida game at the Jacksonville arena there. And so it was a big game, really similar to the Civic Center and all. And so, but I played at the Civic Center a couple times back. They used to call it the Savannah Tire Hockey Classic. I think they just call it now the Savannah Hockey Classic. I don't know who sponsors it and all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was always a big thing. It's exactly what you're describing. It was a bunch of lunatics and madmen that just kind of were lining up and like, watch these kids run into each other. And so yeah, it's Division 3, there's some Division 1 stuff now, but there's at the time it was Division 3, Division 2, ACHA stuff. It was a bunch of meatheads running into each other for the most part of it back when I played. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
When
That's
he played too, I know we would watch him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? This is not the finesse game he used to have.
nope.
But he was more importantly, they were having a blast,
Yeah.
and people were watching him and thinking it was great. I mean, what could be better than that?
Yeah. Not
And
everybody
I'm
can
gonna
say
tell you,
they.
this league is getting better and better now. It really is.
It is. Abdu has a nephew that plays at Alabama, their team, and he's, I think, an officer with the team. Is that right?
Yeah, he's the president
President
of the
And
board.
that's right. And he's a junior, so he's got another year left. But they are making the move next year, I believe, to move into a separate league. So I think they're stepping away from the ACHA, and I think it's going to be an AAU sanctioned thing versus a USA Hockey sanctioned thing. I'm not 100% sure, but whatever it is that they're doing, when they make that move, it will make them available to play for national championships. Right now, in the ACHA, they don't have the ability to do that, and so whatever move they're making is a pretty big step. I think it's going to be a pretty steep learning curve for them. But we had another guy from Abdu's hometown about a week ago, and we talked a little bit about SEC schools and hockey and stuff. And he's a big hockey nut, and he talked a little bit about Kentucky and how Kentucky has some pretty wild practices where they really get the student body involved. And so he believes, and I agree, probably within the next 5 to 10 years, I think you're going to have a lot more SEC teams that actually have Division 1 men's teams. The women's teams are taking off. There was no women's team when I was at the University of Georgia. There is an established one now. Alabama has. Yeah. So they've got a lot more established teams across the board in all those areas. So you mentioned your background a little bit, came from figure skating, rolled over into hockey, was kind of a byproduct of your kids doing that sort of thing. But in talking about that, you said that there wasn't really a huge avenue for you to be able to play hockey. And I'm assuming there just wasn't a lot of room for females in the sport when you were growing up, but that room kind of appeared a lot more.
College-wise, College-wise, I think maybe a few of the Ivies had a women's team at the time when I was in college, and that wouldn't have been an option for me, honestly, just, cost-wise.
Yeah.
But it was starting just slowly. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I kind of was a pioneer, especially in the coaching of hockey. And playing was great because I had that women's team and it was local, and they wanted me because I was a great skater, and I could skate backwards, and I could do anything they needed, and I was relatively easy to teach. And honestly, the men's leagues too were really welcoming because a lot of them were, guys I had been an instructor right alongside them, so that they were really nurturing, and they helped me out because there was a learning curve there. I did play, as often as I could to try to get, I wanted to get good. I wanted to, I loved it. I loved it so much. But, being on a really competitive women's team, there was one, and I was really lucky to play with them for a good number of years. They were called the Liberty, and they played out of the World's Fair ice skating rink. So that was great. And then Empires. I feel like Empires were kind of like the experiences that I got to have that were a little bit more competitive. But yeah, it was new. And as a coach, in the beginning, when I would, and this is what, it's 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, I would have the refs come up to me at a game and say, there's no moms on the bench. And I'd say, I'm coaching the team. And then like, yeah. I'd have to show, I'd show my card. And so, all joking aside, it's like, there's a whole other skill set that you kind of need as a woman to try to do this. And not as much now, but still a little bit. But back then, I mean, you really had to have a thick skin. And, I just kind of made the decision that, I'm gonna just always love this more than I hate that, and that's always been front of mind, like, I know why I do this. This is just, it is my happy place. And, either doing it, sharing it, getting more people involved. That's just what I love to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've had, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was going to probably say exactly what you said. Hockey is our happy place. It's great therapy. It's Dane. We just had a guest on, a friend of mine. He said that hockey is one of the best addictions. It's so
Yes.
The people you meet, the locker room fun, the shenanigans on and off the ice. It's just unlike any other sport.
There's nothing like it. No, and we're all crazy because nobody's going to do this unless there's.
Yeah.
I mean, this is,
But to be clear, though, there are levels of crazy. Hockey players are normal crazy. Goalies are their own department of crazy, just so that we're clear.
Oh, yes.
Like male or female, like they're just all nuts.
100%.
They're not normal people.
Oh my gosh, we got goalie stories, forget it. But I hear you. I love that you're saying he calls it an addiction. So I'm not alone in that, because I say that all the time. I'm like, is this bad? Is this a bad thing? I mean, when does it become bad? That it did take over my life, but I really enjoyed it, and my husband, it's so funny because most kids that grow up playing have, they have hockey dad. He wasn't a player. My husband, God bless him, he has the patience of this saint to tolerate all of this. But I was the hockey dad, and then I was the hockey mom, and then I was the coach. And what would happen? I'll tell you what else would happen on Long Island is every time it was an Olympic year, there would become like a lot more interest, and the news would come down, and they'd film our practices or our games on the women's team. There were so many nice opportunities to do that. It really is. And, a couple of years we have that coming up again. And I hope that hits for us too, where we'll get a little more interest that way. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you a funny story about my husband, just, because you guys are, the beer league, and I did play in the beer league, and, he'd be waiting at home. I'd come home, obviously late at night, and he would be waiting at home, and he would just be like, "This is nuts. This is crazy." He goes, I go to work, and I tell these people at work that my wife is out till all hours of the night, and she's playing hockey, and then she's having a barbecue in the parking lot with these guys. He's like, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, it can't be. And I'm like, but it has to be because I love this. So then I brought him and I'm like, see, you got to see how great this is. I'm going to teach you. He can skate. And I dress him up and I put him out there with us. And he liked it. I'm not going to lie to you. He liked it, but he didn't love it. And then he did take a bad fall and break his ribs. And that was kind of the end of it.
Oh, well, I wouldn't
like
like it then either.
I was going to say, I don't think I'd be a big fan of it either. I went with my wife to the hockey rink. I left with broken ribs. This is terrible.
He broke some ribs. He broke the ribs, but I was shooting the puck at him. Give him a couple cross checks. Take that, husband. Take that.
The story I don't tell.
But I knew something was wrong because he was very red in the face. And I'm like, are you okay? I mean, you look gassed. I mean, are you all right? He's like, no, everything's good. Then when we got home, he's like, I think my ribs are broken. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't you say something?
He did. Everything's good.
We're good. Keep rolling. He was patient.
Oh, that's funny. Oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah, we have a husband and wife that play in our beer league, and they're hilarious. We've had them on one of our very early podcasts. We lovingly refer to them as the king and queen. But Zach and Lindsay Sprint. So Lindsay plays on one. Okay, so you know the Sprints. Yep. So Lindsay plays on
hockey community.
There you go, hockey community. Lindsay plays on one team. Zach plays on another. That's how they like it. They don't want to play on the same team together. They want to be in separate locker rooms. And so it was very funny because Zach is relatively new to hockey. He's been here for a little while, has played some roller, but doesn't have an extensive background on it. Lindsay does have a pretty extensive background on it from where she grew up and the teams that she's played with and played on. And so Lindsay understands locker room dynamics and all those sort of things. And basically was like, my husband always gets hobbies. I don't want him to try to take over my hobby. This is my thing. So we need to be on different teams. So the very first season, we split them up, put them on different teams. They had a phenomenal time. But I remember Zach coming to us and talking to us about basically his, it wasn't concern, but again, kind of like what you're describing, that your husband's getting some of this grief. Like, what is your wife doing? Why is she out at all these hours? And so Zach is like, well, my wife's going to be in this other locker room with these guys. You know, what's going on? What are they doing? And basically, I think may have been Corey, who's another mutual friend of ours that plays on Lindsay's team. And Corey was like, Zach got to meet a couple of the guys and realized like this entire team is basically my wife's big brothers. So if anyone touches her, looks at her cross-eyed or anything, they'll probably all kill them. And I don't have anything to worry about at all. This is a perfectly safe space for my wife to be and things like that. And so, yeah, it's phenomenal. We've had several women that we've talked to. We've actually got one scheduled to come up that she's one of those crazy ones. I'm afraid we'll figure that out.
Oh, I got to meet her.
Well, she's the goalie. She's the goalie. She's out on the West Coast or close to the West Coast right now, but she's relatively new at it. And she's got a pretty interesting background on how she got there. So we're going to have an interview with her and talk with her because she's young in the sport, but she's passionate about it and really excited about it. But she's a goalie, so we know she's missing some screws between her ears. She has to be. I just haven't met a goalie that's not a little bit off. So we've got another friend, Kelly Seymour, that played. I don't remember what division. She played in college, but I can't remember what level it was in college.
D3.
Yeah, do you remember it was a D3?
I think so. D2 or D3.
She still plays though in a beer league. We talk with her regularly. She shares stories about just the nonsense of beer league that is, the nonsense. But she plays with the women's team still and does a good bit of traveling. So we're huge proponents of girls in the sport, women in the sport, developing coaches, players, teams, all of that. We love it, love supporting it and all. It was a novelty for me when I grew up because growing up in the South and playing hockey, it was already a small community anyways. And there were no girls that played here locally. I think we had one. Then just because she had an older brother that played, and as she got a little older, she quit. And so we had one of our coaches had a son and like 2 or 3 daughters, and the daughters played. But again, it was kind of like, hey, dad's there, so we're doing it. But there was no real established girls teams. There was no real movement of that here back in the 90s and early 2000s. And so whenever we would travel as a travel team, again, roller, if we encountered a team that happened to have a female, it was like, this is crazy. This is so wild. They've got a girl. And so now the sports, everything has developed here so much that, we've got a full-blown girls team, and you have become heavily, heavily involved with that.
It's unbelievable. I'm just feel so fortunate to be here when it's happening. And I love that you guys are supportive. That really means so much to us. it takes a village to make this happen. It really does. And I'm so glad it's happening.
Well, we're all in the same sport. We all have the same addiction here, as we've all kind of agreed. And so we, like I said, we want to support all of it. We're happy and excited there's a women's team. So talk a little bit about the Georgia Southern Collegiate Women's Team. Tell us, you're obviously the head coach there, but tell us kind of how you landed there, and tell us a little bit about what you guys are, where you're headed, what you've done. You've already had a couple of games. You can give us some info about how some of that's gone. So give us your take on the Georgia Southern women's hockey team.
Okay. So how did it start? I guess back in December, I got a text from Lena Whitwell. This is her whole brainchild to do this. And she was referred to me by Brandy Jernigan. You guys probably know. I don't know if you know. I know you know Nathan.
We know Nathan.
Yeah.
You're a super fan.
And I know Brandy because as one of the league admins that helped run the adult league, so I've gotten familiar with everybody that's rolled through there and any sort of sign up possibility. So I know who Brandy is as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Brandy came to me as a really non-skater when we first started up in the Civic Center a couple of years ago, and just is such a hard worker and has moved so far. She really, went from learning how to skate, getting suited up, starting and sticking puck. Oh my goodness gracious. And then Nathan, is so supportive. He's unbelievable. I don't know if you know, this could be news, because when he was on, I don't know if he had yet had this post, but Nathan is our assistant coach.
Oh, no, he didn't tell us that.
He is.
He didn't know.
He hasn't said a word about it.
Okay.
This is breaking news. Breaking news.
This will be on the social media. We'll use this as a screen record.
I was watching his segment, and I know he's your super fan, but honestly, that is just a puck in the bucket of his new responsibilities. He's been there for us, and I feel like he exemplifies. Just keep showing up. If you want to be connected with something, keep being helpful, and you become part of the entourage. He is just really supportive. The girls love having him, and he's putting this together. He's putting this together really quickly. He's going to get his USA Hockey Level 1. I've set him up for that, and it's really nice to have somebody else that is so committed to helping us grow.
Yeah, Teach is a good guy. He I met him through Roller primarily first. He did some fill-in goaling out at Roller, and I think I played a couple Wednesday nights for him. He probably not lovingly remembers, but I think we were in a stick and puck, and I think he thought, did he say I nearly broke his foot? Yeah. Is that what he said? Yeah, there you go. All right, so Lilah knows very well.
I'm not laughing.
Yeah, so,
I'm not laughing.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I laughed
laughing.
too. I was like,
I'm
hey,
gonna
man,
laugh.
You're a goalie. You chose to go stand over there. There's a reason. I don't even like playing defense, and I've had to transition back as a defender here. Broke my foot 2 seasons ago for the very same reason he thought I broke his foot. Yeah, I don't want to stand back and play D and stand in front of shots. Forget that.
Oh my God.
Responsibility and pain. So, but yeah. He told us, and I vaguely remembered that, but he vividly remembered it when we had him on. He was like, yeah, no, I remember your shot. You nearly broke my foot. And I said, oh, I think I do. He goes, well, it didn't feel like you did because you just kind of walked off and acted like nothing happened. I said, Teach, you're a goalie. What do you want me to do? Stop everything and make sure you're not dying? Like, you didn't fall over and cry. You're okay. Like, it's going to be all right, man. It's okay. So, yeah. I
didn't tell you, that reminds me of a story, honestly, from the beer league. You won't believe this is true, but it is true. There was some mean guy. And most guys are so nice, but this one guy, and I knew him from town, and he was a little off. I'm not going to lie to you, but he was a good player, and he had a really hard shot. And I always liked to play D. And so I have to tell you, he would aim the puck and shoot me right on the ankle where, like right where you hope your shin.
There's no padding. Yeah.
Yeah, and his aim was so good. He would shoot me in my right leg, and then he would shoot me in my left leg. And then finally I'm like, he's not even aiming for that net. This is abuse.
I'm skating. You're skating to the bench and he's shooting it at your feet.
This is not okay.
Lilah's getting hit in the back of the ankle. I'm going for a change. What are you doing?
It's between periods. I'm just skating. What did you do to him? What did you do to do that? Like,
Did you? You said you saw him around town. What
Oh
did
my
you try to
God.
hit him or
Well,
something
I
with
was
your car
also the
once?
school nurse. I was a school nurse in the elementary school. I think I must have had his kids come through the health office. Who knows? Maybe I called him one time too many for a physical. But
We really wanted that. They really wanted that sick day, and they got pretty mad about not getting that sick day apparently from the nurse.
right?
So,
So I'm like, God, he's such a jerk. But anyway, but did I stop coming? No, absolutely not.
yeah, yeah.
He would laugh his head off if he heard me say this.
We've had
Um,
I mentioned Kelly Seymour is a good friend of ours. We've had her on a couple of times, and she's told stories about guys that, for whatever reason, playing in a beer league, just take exception to the fact that there's a female out there. And she's talked about some of the chirps that she gets that are, again,
oh,
gender specific chirps and
oh my
stuff like
goodness.
that legit go after her. She told a story about how a guy lined up in a face-off circle one time and looked at her and said, "You look like you need a hug or something." And she was like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. Like, don't touch me." But apparently what he was not implying like, "Hey, let me give you a hug." He was implying like whatever the tone was, like, "I'm going to hurt you." And so
Oh
he did.
God.
He took a run at her shortly
Yeah,
thereafter
yeah.
that draw. And to me, I don't have a lot of I don't have any patience. I don't know. Patience for that's probably the wrong word. I don't think that has a place anywhere in the sport. If
I
there's a
know.
female on the ice with you, I think there is a certain way that you do not single them out and treat them any one way or the other. They are a part of that league. But there again, like we had a guy that accidentally took a run at one of the girls that plays in the local leagues. Again,
Yeah.
he really didn't know what he was doing. He fell and ran into her, and we all were like, "Hey, man, relax. What
Yeah.
are you doing?" "I didn't mean to." "Yeah, but you flattened her. She's 120 pounds lighter than you. What
Yeah.
are you doing?" So
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
I get frustrated hearing stuff like that because it's just, I don't know. It's
I
crazy.
know. I feel it's getting better though. I'm going to tell you because I mean, I mean, I'd get cross-checked after the whistle, and if nobody saw it, nobody saw it. You know that was always an unpleasant surprise. But anyway, it is. I do feel it's getting better. I think it is, and there's always heroes on your own team that will stick up for you, which is so nice too.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't stop
So
us from coming back.
that's the best thing there, as long as you guys keep playing. So you've got Teach coming in as an assistant coach, you as a head
Yes,
coach. What's the head count on the team now?
we
And
are.
then
I'm going to tell you, we have. I guess we put in our roster with 12 or I have to double check because we're adding all the time. The nice thing is the door is open.
yeah,
And the league is great about that.
Hmm.
So they're recruiting, we're bringing more in. And listen, we don't have everybody for every game. And we have not had practices, in the Civic Center, but we've been going to Charleston. And something amazing happened with Charleston women's hockey. They have aligned with us. We had a great scrimmage with them. So they'll helping us out if we don't have numbers
yeah,
to scrimmage or to even skate a practice. They'll jump in with us. We know that it's a bit of a drive, obviously 100 miles each
sure,
way,
yeah,
but so we have them. And then what we had for our first game with Auburn, Georgia came and we were able to have them join our roster. So we
awesome,
had 7 of our own plus our goalie. I could talk all day about her because she's amazing. Anna, she is from Mass and really, really just great skills and also great leadership potential with, just telling us things that are really helping progress learning. Even as she's in the net, she's calling out and helping the girls. But so we had the Georgia girls help us, and that was a wonderful game. In fact, it ended up being, we did lose, but it wasn't by very much. And Auburn, it was their first win, which was so nice.
yeah,
And it was just kind of, what's beautiful about women's hockey, where anything goes. We show up for each other, we help each other, we borrow players, we lend players, we just do whatever we have to do to make it work. It is a little bit harder, I'm not going to lie to you, but that's okay. We make it happen.
yeah.
And
Well,
we're really looking forward.
you're starting in the South. You're starting in a sport that's for years been dominated by males. And so you got 2 strikes against you that are making it more difficult for you to get rolling. So it's phenomenal to hear that not only do you have the numbers to be able to outfit and field teams, and you've got goalies, you've got coaches, you've got all the different ingredients to get your own team up and rolling, but you've even got other teams that are essentially in your division, in your competition, that are actively working and helping you guys kind of get your program off the ground as well and get it developed and all. That's phenomenal. So you guys are in year 1 of the program, which, if my memory is correct from teams coming in, we've had the Kennesaw State guys, they talked a little bit about this as well, that your first year you're in kind of a probationary window, so you're working a slightly decreased schedule than what you would normally, correct?
You know what? You're not going to believe this. They aren't. We actually are not probationary because these girls were so organized. They got everything in with the club. They submitted this paperwork. They drew up everything they had to do and got approved. So this is technically our first season where we have 10 games.
Incredible.
And I mean, more than that, if you look at what happened once they really laid the framework and did all the heavy lifting and the planning. The boys team happened on the wind of the wings with the girls. It was really unbelievable. They inspired the boys to get this program going, and now this is happening too. I'm so proud of them for that, and that was a really great form of flattery to find that the boys were going to do this too.
Yeah, it's good that the programs are up and running. It's really exciting to see you guys working out there. So I'm sure you guys are you guys traveling a lot this year? You got a lot of home, or is it an even mix?
We had a big trip to play our second game. We played USC and we traveled to Columbus.
Nice.
So that was a bit of a trip. I was so proud of them. This is new for them, this kind of travel and this level of commitment. Everything was organized. We got there. I mean, we did not know what to expect, what this was going to be, and they were ready for anything. And you know what? We faced a difficult game with a small roster. However, the wins were different for us, and we went in knowing that, like, maybe winning a zone was a win for us. That was, that's a goal. Blocking a lane, that could be a goal. Just thinking about the positive things and the way that they were learning. And Nathan and I were standing on the bench and look at each other and said, my God, they look pretty darn good. They know what they're doing. They are learning and they are listening and putting this together. They're, learning the sport, the culture, the rules of the game. And, our numbers are growing. This is happening. So we're really proud of them for just being resilient and being up for anything. And so it's been so far really, really great.
That's awesome. So you've had a game on the road. Home games, I'm assuming, will be played at the Civic Center once the ice gets laid up and running and all that facility opens back up.
We don't have too many homes. I think we only have one home as the schedule is now.
Yeah.
But so, we've got a couple of on the road, another big trips coming up, but not till November. We have a little bit of a window right now.
Beautiful.
And so we will probably do another practice or two in Charleston. Obviously getting funds is really important for us. The team is working on some merchandise planning, making some orders there that will help us fund ice. And Lena Whitwell was great. She was able to get us some equipment, some scholarships with Bauer. So we were able to get some helmets and, other equipment we borrowed, and they've got what they need. They have what they need for the most part, but we need more in order to make those dues more affordable for more players to come on. And
absolutely.
That's the thing. We some clubs, these clubs are all different, and some of them, just knowing about the Gators from my son playing at University of Florida, UF gives a nice stipend to the clubs.
Right.
And we don't really have that, so we've got to get creative.
Sure. Well, and you got established clubs that have been around for years that have regular donors. Being a guy that played in the UGA program, a lot of alum that have played in that program have gone on to work and they kick back money towards the program as well. So all of that sort of stuff helps. So again, you're working at a disadvantage being in the first year, but you got a lot of helpers around there. So sponsorship stuff is obviously something I'm sure you guys are more than happy to entertain. But you guys have any fundraiser thing that that the girls are doing that you guys are doing? They're scanning for putting it together. I think the merch is going to definitely be,
something that they want to put together. And then also, just thinking of possibly some raffles and other things. And we're up for ideas. We're up for collaborations, anything and everything. We'll entertain it.
You go old school and do the car wash and yard sale stuff, and just see if you can wash enough cars and sell enough old tennis shoes and
Make some bread. Make some bread loaves. I'll support you guys. Whoever makes the best bread loaf, sell it for $10.
Abdul will empty the piggy bank to come buy your bread.
I like that idea.
Make some pizzas. Oh yeah, I'm in.
Well, as you guys get some,
we're going to try to raffle off some jerseys, which
nice.
I think that will, because they came out really nice. And I think there's probably some girls and guys that would like to wear this.
Absolutely.
That'll help.
Yeah. As you guys get some fundraiser stuff up and rolling, let us know. We definitely want to support that. We'll post it on any and all of our social media, and link you guys and all of your accounts in it. We absolutely want to continue to do that. We're really, really excited to hear you guys are rolling. We're excited for the season. We'll get with you, and we want to make sure if we've got a home game coming up, we want to advertise the heck out of that. And get as much community support. I know the girls will be working around campus to get campus support too. Abdu's not allowed to get near college campuses or high school.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. I just got cleared. It's the elementary schools. Elementary school.
They're all adults at college anyway. So yeah, no, we definitely want to advertise all of that. So, but you also, Lilah, you said you had a couple of things beyond the college hockey that were specifically empowering women in the game of hockey. And I want to let you talk a little bit about those as well.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I've had a big couple of weeks with some great initiatives that I'm a part of. First thing is the NHLCA, NHL Coaches Association, has a fantastic new women's program to just elevate opportunity and get us connected. And with that, I was able to sit in with the practice for the Nashville Predators earlier this week with the coaching staff and hear some secrets. And I actually took notes, so I can tell you. I mean, I don't think I'd get in trouble for letting you know just a couple of secrets because you could use them. We could use them in the beer league, and we could
believe it or not. I don't think the Predators organization is listening to this podcast.
You know what?
If they do and they haven't commented, shame on them.
Yeah, not yet. They're not, but let's wait and see.
I'm tagging them now.
So Andrew Burnett, head coach, this is what he's looking for in that camp. He is looking for pace and hockey sense. So when these kids are lucky enough to get to his camp, above all, that's what they've got to have the speed. They have to have the speed to be able to keep up, obviously, and they have to be able to make good decisions. Obvious stuff we know, but
yeah.
Obviously when you hear these coaches talk, it's like you could hear a pin drop. Everyone's like, oh God, what's he going to say? It's going to be fantastic. It's going to change our lives. And so he was saying also that as far as what they want to work on right out of the gates, once they decide who they're taking and what the team is going to be, they focus in right away defensively. And I thought that made a lot of sense too. It's all about the D zone and the PK, and that is where they're going to focus with their training. And that makes sense because when you think defense wins a game, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's
unless Holland's playing defense.
Right.
If Holland's playing
defense costs you the game.
In the shins.
That's right. Defense costs you the game if I'm playing it.
But so it was so great to be in there and listen, and the way that they line everybody up and they have so much packed into those 3 days to try to make decisions. I don't know how they can do it. I mean, I always am curious, and I didn't have a chance to ask a question because there just wasn't time. But I did have if I could have asked a question, I'll tell you what I would have asked them is what kind of vetting they do off the ice with these players when they're really trying to figure out who are they going to take to this team? What are they trying to figure out mentally about these players? Because that's a big leap for a lot of these boys, and are they going to be able to, yes, they can perform on the ice, but, do they have the mental resilience? Do they have, a confidence practice? And I'm always curious about that because that's work that I also do. And I used to do this work in New York, and I still do it virtually with some players. that are navigating their way through either D1 or juniors. Maybe they have an injury, or maybe they're, don't have a season going the way they thought it was going to go, which is a lot of boys and juniors, a lot of girls. There's players everywhere where, what you thought it was going to be, it's not perfect, and having a practice and a plan off the ice to get you through that and help you cope it bridges gaps in a really big way. And I love doing that work. So that would have been my question if I could have asked. And another thing, thank you so much for letting me just keep talking and talking.
Yeah. You're good.
Another thing that I've been connected with these last few weeks is the USA Hockey Coach Development Program. And Chris Wing is a lighthouse with this program for females that want to get involved in coaching, or men that are getting involved and they're coaching women's teams. Maybe it's for the first time, or maybe they just want to get a little better at it. And these clinics have been incredible. You can sign up for clinics that are going to be by women, led by women for female players and coaches, or mixed. Some of them are mixed. Listen, there's some guys that sign up. Sometimes they sign up by accident and they don't realize it's an all women's clinic. But you end up learning a lot. And some of the guys have been really graceful about sharing after, we have a little Q&A at the end and saying, wow, I had no idea how much harder it can be for you guys. Like, there's this whole other stuff that you have to deal with, sometimes when you're trying to get leadership positions in a rink, or, just, be able to be received as credible and not questioned, and so, those are some of the things we face as female coaches. But if anyone is navigating that, you're not alone. We have support. We have a group me that you can join, and it's great. We're always just elevating each other, helping each other with ideas, brainstorming. And this, I would say anyone that's interested can reach to me, and I'll shoot you in the right direction.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll link ways to get in touch with you when we start dropping all of these podcasts and YouTubes and things like that. So anybody that hears this and has more interest in that, we'll definitely make your contact info available. Like I said, we're big supporters of that. I laughed a little when you said that there were some guys that maybe accidentally signed up. When I was a freshman in college, I accidentally signed up for a self-defense class thinking it was like a martial arts class. It was a self-defense class, and I was like one male in a classroom of 23 women.
It's like, no.
But here's the deal. No. They all had, like, every single one of them was in there for a reason. They had some sort of trauma in their background. They were like, hey, we want to learn. And so legitimately every time the teacher would open up the class, they were like, okay, Jeremy, come on over here. We're going to practice on you. And I'm like, please just stop practicing on me. There was so much. By the end of the class, I was like, I'm really sorry on behalf of all males for anything they've done to you. Most of the girls in the class were like, this guy's a nice guy. He's okay. And they stopped hitting me quite as hard. But the first couple of weeks, it was brutal. I mean, it was rough. So yeah, I know what it's like to accidentally end up in a class and be like, it's him, get him, we hate him. So I know you guys were not like that with the male coaches and all, but yeah.
That's happy for you to be in there.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to lie to you. There was one guy who actually said he sent an email after he went into the because there were like 50 women and him, and he's like, I did not realize that this was an all women's clinic. I don't want to be in here. There's too many women, and I just feel uncomfortable.
Making me nervous.
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my God, would you be us for a day, please?
Yeah, you know how we feel. Oh,
that was so funny. We were dying over that. But everybody is welcome, and it is like just legit a really great resource. It's new and it's growing. So that it's just speaks to changes in the game and in a very good way for women.
Yep. Well, Lilah, we're really excited about everything you've got going on. We're happy that you have moved to the area or helping with the women's program at Georgia Southern. We're really, really excited to see how they do this year. We'll definitely continue to post up links and to how we can support and how our listeners can support the women's program. And as soon as we kind of know, we'll get a good date on what that home game is. We'll get all that info out there. Definitely want to continue to support you guys going forward. And all those endeavors. But we really, really appreciate you spending the time with us. Just can't thank you enough, and wish you the best of luck the rest of this
good luck.
season and going forward.
Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you guys in the adult clinics and in the skating school and lessons. I'll put out there, I love to train anybody that is looking to get a little better at their skating or at their hockey. And I'm at
You hear that, Ponton? Andy Ponton, give her a reach.
Yeah. Put your kids in the clinics, even in addition to whatever they're doing, it helps them. It's all about hours logged.
Absolutely.
And if you choose some strategic things to add in, you'd be surprised how good you'll get.
Absolutely. Well, Lilah, thank you again. We really appreciate you being on. And again, best of luck going forward this year with the women's programs and all the other endeavors you've got going on. We're really excited to hear kind of how all that goes.
Thank you so much. I love you guys.
We love you. We love you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Be well.
All right.
You too.
Bye.
Yeah, maybe the hockey camp legend can.
Yeah, we got some guys that are traveling to Vermont for hockey camp.
I told you earlier that I was trying to look through some old podcasts, and Ponton even said, "Hey, what can one person do? What can one person do to help their skating?" I went back that far into podcasts,
Good thing you went back.
Yeah, there you go, Ponton. There's your answer on how to improve your skating for men's league and the hockey camp pylon. You got your person right there. Just stop going all the way to Montana. Save yourself some miles. And then look, I was too quiet that podcast. I'm on a roll right now. So the hockey camp pylon, you go ahead and give Lilah a call really quick.
We'll post everything. We'll tag you directly in it, pylon man.
Yeah,
we got you. Oh my gosh, yeah. That was great. Guys, please go support the Georgia Southern Women's Program. Support all of our local hockey programs, but specifically tonight, we really want to focus in on the Georgia Southern Women's Program. Support those ladies and what they're doing. This is their first year. Yes, there will be ups and downs and all sorts of things in between. But we'll get this home game info out to you guys as soon as we get it. Let's pack that place out. Let's make those girls really feel loved, especially by the community. And let's support them in any way and every way we can, 100%. So thanks for listening, guys. We really appreciate you guys listening. If you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, give us a follow. But until we see you again, peace.
Bye.